All right, guys, episode 3 of the Tromello Brothers podcast. We have an awesome guest today, James Grundler, three-time CrossFit Games athlete and recording artist extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
He's extraordinary. Anyway, we're going to get into the Open today, along with just how to handle the Open and why we do CrossFit and why the Open's important and how actually it's not that important. And if you look at the big picture for many, many people. So anyway, we're going to get going. Daniel, take it away.
Cool, James. How's it going, buddy?
How are you? Good to hear from you.
Nice to talk to you. But no, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on the show. A lot of today, obviously, we were talking about just briefly getting on here about just kind of topics today. So obviously, for you, what's your background exactly? So
tell everybody who you are, James.
Who are you? Where'd you start from? Who's James Grundler?
Okay, let's see. James Grundler pretty much grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Been in competitive sports my whole life. I swam, wrestled, and did track and fields from the age of 5. Swam and wrestled, did a little bit of track, dabbled in it through high school, and then did some swimming, but primarily wrestling in college. And traveled the world, got to experience a lot of different cultures because of it, fortunately, and had a lot of great success with it. And what was crazy is that the one constant line through the whole athletic journey was my love of music and just rock and roll and how it played a constant theme throughout my life and career, and eventually it became my career, and that's what I do now for a living is I write music for TV and film. And again, another fortunate position. It allowed me to travel the world and experience different cultures and different lifestyles and just see things from a whole new perspective, and it's been a lot of fun. Good journeys, good times.
When did you get really involved in writing and creating your own music? What age were you when you were doing that?
Well, I started writing. It's funny. I was always into music since I was a little kid. My parents had an amazing record collection, and I know you and we always talk about this, both of you, how our parents had really great records and stuff, and we just grew up listening to lots of fun music and stuff that you wouldn't primarily, gravitate towards, when you reach into your pre-adolescent days in high school or whatnot, but they definitely set the tone for kind of the attitude,
right,
of your existence at the time. And I was fortunate, Bill and I and our younger brother, we got to experience a lot of great music, and I think that just was always there. Music just became this theme. We always had a theme in the back of our minds. This music was always playing while we were being competitive and just going through life and going through sports and stuff, and you always have this theme that's happening.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it like that, but yeah, I think my dad has like over 1,000 records. He plays in alphabetical order, and
we talked about that, man. That's so impressive. It's amazing.
And now they come on. I'm like, hey, that song. And I hated it when I was a kid, but now I'm like, I love it now. I appreciate it now. Yeah.
Yeah, our dad.
Yeah.
Like this, he was so OCD. He still is. He has over 1,000 records. He
and
plays
1,000 CDs. Alphabetical order, no matter what the song is, no matter what the genre. You'll go from freaking Eric Clapton to classical music.
Yeah.
It's like insane. Okay, Dad, classical was up after Eric Clapton.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's right. No, one thing, because I've coached to the public, I've coached James for now going on 3 years now, and one of the things I tell people all the time that I don't like to talk about CrossFit that much when I'm with people, like traveling somewhere, etc., because I talk about it all damn day. And
we really don't talk about much CrossFit when we're hanging out or traveling or whatever. It's crazy.
I tell people that all the time. Like when James and I have been on several long drives together and flights together. We've traveled across the country together. And I was like, James and I will go through a 3-hour drive and we won't mention CrossFit one time.
Nope.
That's awesome. You can turn your mind off from the sport that you're going to do because it's about to immerse your life for a week sometimes, right?
Sure, yeah.
to not talk about it until it's time to talk about it.
Let me ask you a question, James. So I remember talking about your music and everything, but you and I have had some conversations about how nasty the beginning was for you. Before you started your
nasty.
It's like, you know, like nasty, like you were pretty much homeless. I mean, tell the quick story about when you first started. You said, I'm gonna go do music. I'm all in on this because you're a kind of guy. I mean, I noticed that when you do something, I don't think you half-assed anything that I know you of doing.
No, that's very true. Yeah, James.
No, I get very obsessed, obsessive about what I'm doing, and it's and I pretty much been laser focused on it.
When you first started and said, I'm gonna go do music, like how did that begin for you? Like where were you living? What were you doing?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to being a kid and being so enriched in music and loving music, and how it just, it formed this escapism. It was the theme to your life. I was always fascinated with how songs were crafted and created and written. And I used to do little recordings when I was 5, 6 years old on my boombox. I could record a set of guitar or a singing verse or some drums, and then I could put that tape back in the playback thing and then record on another tape, and then you're doing overdubbing, so basically I'm doing track recording, and I didn't realize I was doing that in the first place. I just figured I'm just making music here. I think later on down the road, I just always been fascinated with music, and I always wanted to do what I grew up seeing and listening to, and I kind of took the same mentality of sports and the competitive attitude about it, and really just dove headfirst into it. And it was super enjoyable, but it was also a saving grace at the same time because of that. I was, like you said, I was going through a really difficult time before it all happened, getting the record deal and then touring the world and, doing that whole thing and being a rock star and all that experience, that happened out of determination and dedication and sacrifice and everything. It was everything that I did when I was wrestling. It's the same thing, same attitude.
We talked before, yeah.
What's that?
We talked about before with you, like one of the things about you, like people have asked me, where did he come from? Like because he's Bill's brother, so that's why he's good. I'm like, no, James is good because James is obsessive and he busts his ass at just about it, whatever he's deciding he's going to do.
I mean, where did I come from? I mean, I've always been here, I guess, in a weird sort of way.
Yeah,
I've always been kind of lingering around. I've always loved competitive sports. I wrestled at a high elite world class level. I've always done things at a high level, and it was just a matter of time for me to kind of get the components right for this whole CrossFit thing, and then pull the trigger, really.
Well, James, I don't think there's one thing we don't ever talk about that we've never talked about to the general public. I know we talked about it briefly, but like it takes a special person to be. A lot of our viewers also don't know is you also were a pro volleyball player for a little bit too.
For a little bit, yeah. For a little bit there.
Yeah. So what people don't understand is it's a special person to be a professional at everything. Like you can be, you've been a rock star. You've had a chance to do that.
A real rock star,
not just some guy who says that they're a rock star and works as a waiter somewhere.
Right.
You for MTV, stuff like that. Deadliest Catch,
right.
You've gone to the CrossFit Games 3 times now, 4 times this year. You've been a world-class wrestler. You've been a pro volleyball player.
Right.
People don't just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. they don't just say, I'm going to do this, and they're really good at that.
Right.
Okay, James. And one thing I don't ever talk about people, and we talk about this briefly about your mindset in CrossFit. We've really, obviously this year, this last 2000, if not for an injury in 2017, we would have done some really amazing things at the games.
Yeah.
But
mindset
was where it needed to be, and now we know where it's at. But your mindset has never been a problem, right? We talk about mindset to make you great at CrossFit, but it takes a specific mindset to do everything you do, right? So
yes,
mindset.
I think it takes definitely a certain mindset, but again, we all know you got to have the DNA wrapped up in there as well.
Yeah, you gotta have genetics.
If you
You
can't
got to
down,
have genetics. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like I really enjoy it. I have fun doing it. I think that was the main thing. I never realized it until, recently. I look back on all those, accomplishments, and really at the time, yeah, it was hard. The struggle was hard. The training was hard, but I had fun. I had fun doing that. I love. It kind of goes back to when Bill and I were kids. My mom tells me this story a lot. When we would ride our bikes, it was the first time. I was always riding my bike with training wheels, and Bill was riding a two-wheeler without training wheels, and we're riding our bikes to the park. And I'm like, I'm not riding with training wheels. I'm gonna ride to the park on two wheels. Like I had to, like I was always constantly, I want to do this. I want to beat the system. I got to beat it. Like I want to overcome my obstacle, and the obstacle was the training wheels, and I wanted to overcome it. I wanted to see how far I could go, and I think that stuck with it, and that's kind of the character that I am. I just like to see the limitations, and if you can break through those walls and barriers, I think that's ultimately what drives me to do what I do, and it's fun. It's fun winning the Rubik's Cube.
Oh, that's the way of putting it. Right. So we're going into the Open this year, 2018. This will be our fourth Open together, sort of, third Open, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And this fourth one, but the first year was kind of like Bill and I together. And it kind of still is Bill and I together. Shit. And so, like, I know we're talking about the Open in general now. Okay, we're gonna get into that because I know people want to hear us talk about that.
Sure.
And so this year's Open, and then we're gonna talk about but I want to get into also what I'm seeing with a lot of the athletes. I was talking about this actually with Tori Dow earlier in the week about how to handle the Open on Tuesday and Wednesday. Not from like, how do I prepare for 18.2? No. What do you do on Tuesday and Wednesday during the Open, James? How would you approach it?
Well, I think in the past I used to not obsess really about it, but I think I was a different CrossFitter in the past Opens.
Yeah.
And I think over the years I've gained more confidence in my abilities, and again, I'm in the Masters too, so I'm not competing against the young bucks that are just astronomically amazing. But I've approached this year a little differently than I did the year before, especially doing like the Wodapalooza qualifier, which unfortunately I couldn't go to compete in the Wodapalooza, but
and why, James?
I just went at it. Yeah. I just went at it more of like the way Val Vorbril does it, where I didn't even think about the leaderboard.
Yeah.
I just went at it, and I did the workouts once, and I just clobbered it as best as I could, and it felt good with my outcome, and I was like, cool, I'm great with that. And then to find out at the end where I stood out of the whole thing.
Wasn't
but
bad.
But what I didn't do is I didn't obsess with the workouts, what they were going to be, and things like that. I kind of found what's smart to do, especially as a Masters. I know a lot of the younger athletes, this is all they do.
Yeah.
And it's tough for them to kind of have a distraction. I think that's important. You really need to find yourself a distraction.
Yeah.
And whether that's your job, whether that's family, whether that's, a hobby, something to distract yourself, because you don't want to go in blowing your whole wad 2 days before you go in to the Open.
You make up a good point with any athlete in any sport. It's almost like the guys before the game that they're running up and down, they're jumping. I mean, you're a wrestler, so they're actually wasting it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then on the wrestling mat with them, they're hooting and hollering, but you're in the end being calm and having good technique, you'll whoop their ass. And I think it's the CrossFit's the same thing. I remember before a football game.
I was just going to say, Oxy,
the teams that are hooting and hollering,
we kicked the shit out of them.
They're all their stress and all that stress. It's literally biologically affecting their system.
Yeah.
And cortisol gets released, and your heart rate will increase faster than it should. But that's like I think the biological response of the body. So and it's interesting because when you work without, I mean, maybe I'll ask you this question. Who do you fear most when you're doing CrossFit if you're competing? The guy who lifts the most weight that is kind of wasting energy usually, do you focus just on yourself, or do you look at the guy who, I don't know, particularly has a lot of experience? Like for you, like who do you think that you're trying to compete with in games or?
Well, I'm lucky. I get to compete against Mr. Number One, Bill Grundler, every day. So I get to see what my competition's like every day. But no, I mean, I think it's a natural response to constantly think about what your opposition is. But what I learned about CrossFit is the opposition isn't another human being. It really isn't. It's actually that object in front of you. It's that weight that's in front of you. It's that barbell, that dumbbell, that sandbag, that box, that rig. That's your competition. That's what you're up against.
Right.
You have no control over what these other people are going to do. So you're really, like you said, you're increasing your cortisol levels. You're increasing your strength by worrying about another opponent or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think too is, I don't know if you've ever, I think too is back, even the parallel to your music career is you just kind of said you put your head down and worked, right? You just got better. And
well, here, like I said, it actually took me a while to figure out more of the mentality of CrossFit is way different than the mentality of wrestling or a sport that you're a combative sport like wrestling or football. Whereas like you're thinking, I'm going to destroy that person.
Right.
I am going to beat that person. I'm going to beat that person down. I'm going to destroy that person, that kind of thing. And at the beginning stages of CrossFit, that's what was my mental state. I was like, I gotta go after that guy. And I'm gonna smash that dude. Well, come to find out, I don't even get to touch that guy. I don't get to do anything. All I gotta do is watch them pass me by while I'm getting all burned out on, doing overhead squats or whatever it is, So it's definitely funny.
Well, the mindset, actually, Daniel and I, when we were in college, we had a very different kind of coach. And that's actually helped me as a coach for you guys and then as an athlete in CrossFit too, is that our coach in college would not let us be showboat at all. So we had no icons on our uniform. We had a black helmet, white socks. We had all dressed the same. We were not allowed to be rah-rah at all. We had to be quiet. We could not talk. We'd have teams like that wanted to beat us because at that time, Daniel and I were in college. We were top 10 in the nation. So we were going against we were really good.
It's really funny.
And teams would stomp. We had this O in the Giant field. They would stomp on our O and go crazy, because they really wanted to beat us so bad. We hadn't lost in 31 games at one point. We were so undefeated, and they were and then he'd be like, don't. And people would say shit. He'd be, shut the fuck up, don't you say shit. And then as soon as we got on the sidelines and the kickoff was about to go, he'd be like, fuck them up.
Yeah.
And then we'd kick the ball off, and we would just rock them. We would just blow them out.
If you can picture, remember the old school college music? It was it's almost like the old school Notre Dame music, like the movie Rudy.
Really old school music.
Yeah.
So he'd play that over a loud horn. We didn't have any rap music.
We weren't allowed to play any
that was our
pregame music. On the field. No Guns N' Roses, no nothing.
It was I was like, this is
horrible.
We were so used to it, but teams would get
pissed. Yeah, they're like, what is this shit?
This is sad. And then we kicked the crap out of them. But it was really fun.
Yeah, so tying that into CrossFit, being calm, being
I think, obviously that guy understood the value of psychological warfare. I mean, that's exactly what it was.
And also at the same time too, we were never more talented than the teams we played. We were just smarter. So we'd have a game plan. This is our offensive system. This is our defensive system. Execute the system perfectly to win. Yeah. And that's how we won. We weren't there weren't players on our team. We were just smarter, and we just did what we were supposed to do. Cross is the exact same thing, right? We talk about giving you a game plan. James, here's your game plan for this workout. You need to hit this workout exactly as you can. And by the end, if you have it in the tank, you should be able to pass up to the guy and take first. Or James, this is a run, swim, run workout. You're a great swimmer. You're not a good runner. Our goal is to be 10th or 9th. Right? And like figure out a way to mess with the scoreboard. Out over 9 workouts, I need to have a couple firsts, a couple thirds, a couple fifths. It's okay to have a 17th, right? Mathematically, to figure out where we're going to be.
Right.
That's CrossFit. That's also the open to a point. You know,
it is.
If you're trying to qualify, and I think the masters and the teams are tough. I think that like we dumb it down, but we're talking about there's 1,000 to 2,000 athletes in each division at this point or more, right?
Mm-hmm.
200 are going to make it to the qualifier. You guys have got to do 5 workouts, take a 2 or 3 week break, and do another 5 workouts. It's a grind of an online season.
It's a long season, man. It's a long season.
Yeah, it's tough to get there. Yeah, the younger guys got the open and the regional, which is a different kind of grind. But this, I think, doing everything online is so much more of a mental grind because you cannot control what that other guy's doing in their gym.
Yeah.
Or who's counting what rep in that gym. If we got to have these guys in the regional, like the Masters guys facing them to qualify for the Masters qualifiers at a venue, it's a different animal.
Well, we see that constantly every year. You know, we'll see Joe Schmo just smashing open score workouts, and then you see him at the games, and you're like, "Where's Joe Schmo? Oh, he's last. Wow, that's interesting."
Joe Schmo has pulled out of the competition after day 1.
Well, too, it's
which is awesome.
With we talk about people like, is there cheating in the open? Do you think people? I mean, what's your?
Here's the way I look at it. This is actually a new way to look at it, and I kind of came up with it this year. I was like, you know what? I encourage it. Everybody go ahead and cheat, because what's going to happen is those weak athletes that are cheating to get themselves up the leaderboard, once they go to the games, it's just going to make it easier for me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's true.
I can tell you my thought process real quick. Is I actually don't think people cheat as much as you think. I just think 1 workout and 6 days rest is a lot different than 3 workouts and a day at the game. So you have guys that they can recover over 5 or 6 days, so they can smash a workout and they don't do anything all week. But it's not going to prepare you when you do 9 workouts in 2 days.
It's also
for recovery.
Yeah, it's also another.
Yeah, I mean, that's. But Daniel, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it goes on all fronts. I think it's all fronts. I think you're right about that as well.
It's also another thing too, to do the workouts in your gym with your equipment, your friend judging you.
Tape on the bar.
Yeah, all the elements you can control, right? Like
tape on the bar, no tape on the bar.
Yeah. Well, let's give you an example. James, you're fantastic at muscle ups, right? You and Bill are pretty good at ring muscle ups. We'll just say, for example. But when we go to the Zeus, we were in Carson a couple years ago, and they pulled the Zeus rig out, and the straps were like 30 feet long.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a game changer. Right? That fucked a lot of people up, man.
Yeah, like 5-foot strap, 25-foot strap. Shit. So
well, that was just really not understanding the unknowable. I mean, we didn't know that they were going to put 25-foot straps on the.
What's great about CrossFit?
Well, that's one of the things about CrossFit and competing at the CrossFit Games and the regional is that you can be really good in the open, you can be really good in your own gym, but doing 3 workouts in a day in that environment with their equipment and their standards of their rig, their muscle up straps being that much longer or et cetera is a lot harder.
Yeah.
James, let me ask you too real quick. Just in general, what were you doing before you even started CrossFit as far as working out? What was so you took some time off, right, from wrestling to CrossFit?
Well, I mean, I was touring. I was in a band and touring, and you know, I was living more of a different lifestyle.
We got this conversation. Well, James, who did you tour with again? Can you tell the viewers who you toured with? It's pretty rad.
Oh gosh, Stone Temple Pilots, Supergrass, The Sounds, Bravery, The Killers.
Would you like do a set? Work out the next day, or were you just pretty much not working out, pretty much sedentary?
No, I think what I did was, depending how long the night went that night before, I would try to get up early in the morning. My drummer was actually really, really regimented. He was this German kid, and he stayed pretty, pretty,
Pretty clean.
pretty clean for the most part. And he would jog every morning, and of course, I would try to get on board with them. And depending
Right.
depending how long I stayed up the night before,
Right.
you know.
Brad. So
Did you find that too, like exercising while you're on tour helped you when you're actually on stage and playing too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was a huge plus to increase your lung capacity, especially as a singer. I mean, you needed that. You're doing anywhere from a 30-minute show to a 2-hour show, depending on whether you're headlining or not. So it was definitely a plus to do that. I mean, plus, I mean, I come from an athletic background. I would feel so guilty by not doing anything. So
So you were,
there was always that. Yeah.
yeah.
So it wasn't like you're just playing music.
Well, you
for
see
20
pictures
years.
of him when he was touring.
he
he
was
was
in shape.
like skinny.
He was
shit.
lean, yeah.
He had like long hair and
It's a rock star, man.
rock star baby face.
Yeah.
You gotta look the part.
I'm gonna ask a generic question because I have to talk about the Open because that's what I'm required to do. I hate this question. What do you think we're gonna see in the Open this year? What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a lot of the same. I think, Dave Castro loves to throw out these little lobs that freak people out and do all this. Oh my God, he's going to change it all up. Because he's talking about we're going to be out of the box this year, and oh God, what he's going to be. How much further can it go than what you've already done? I mean, you do CrossFit. What else is it going to be?
What else is it gonna be?
CrossFit.
I tell people,
CrossFit guys. Sorry.
yeah, I get the same question all the time as you. Obviously, are getting it. Probably Bill's probably getting it a ton right now. What are you going to see in the Open, Mike? What's going to change this year? I'm like, I don't know. Everything that we've already done. I mean, if you've done CrossFit as long as Daniel and I have done CrossFit, and Bill, especially,
Yeah.
we've seen it all
Seen everything.
at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like how much further can you go aside from how much further can you go aside from throwing Rogue a bone so everybody has to buy a certain piece of equipment? I mean, I don't know.
I just got a bunch of assault bikes. I don't know if assault bikes can be Open, but Precision's ready for it.
We have a lot of
Well, I think you're smart about that, but don't be surprised if it's not going to be the assault bike. It'll be the Rogue bike for the regionals or something.
I don't think that. I actually don't think assault bike's going to be in there. I think it's too many variables with that.
I think it's too many variables.
That's why rope climbs don't be in there because what's 15 feet and what's not 15 feet.
That's easily
Exactly. There's not gonna be weighted vests.
No, the only thing I do tell people that they should, especially elite athletes, they need to prepare is the handstand walk because I think as soon as they put.
I think that would be the new. I think you're right on with that. I think a handstand walk is very easily put in. I mean, they do lunges now. They could throw a handstand walk in there. Why not?
You're 47?
Yes.
You're walking at 47 years old, as much as you are. Just being.
Dude, I love handstand walking. It's so fun.
I mean, just looking back at how CrossFit's progressed, and you're like, man, I'm 47. You're one of the top people in the world in your sport, and just like I think it's great, like just what you're able to do. Like Mike and I talked about this in our first show. We used to look at people when they're younger being 40 and thinking, oh, that's so old because they didn't take care of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
CrossFit is done. Especially around the Open and getting involved and just what do you think done for your mental mindset on aging even a little bit? I know what it's done for Bill on what, but what do you think it's done for you there? And what do you think it can do for other people too?
Well, obviously it keeps pushing that age wall back further and further and further. I mean, the better you take care of yourself, the more longevity you increase in your life. I mean,
right.
Obviously it goes to a degree when you're doing a hyper competitive sport. If you're more of like a masters that wants to do like a games thing, you're going to get your bumps and bruises and your aches and pains. It's going to definitely amplify, and you're going to have injuries and stuff. I mean, you're putting yourself in that realm. But yeah. I think for a general quality of life, I mean, shit, dude. People are getting older and living longer, and especially with these people doing fitness as much as
Yep.
they can now. You can't lead a sedentary lifestyle. It's just not.
No.
It's not. You don't set yourself up for longevity. And I think that's what the main key is.
I mean, everyone looks so fit. Like,
Mhm.
you look at a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, 60-year-olds, they look great, and unfortunately,
Dude, all you do is you pop a fucking 27-year-old person's head on top of those 50-year-old
Yeah.
bodies, and there they are. They're 27 again.
It's insane.
You're absolutely right.
Dan and I just lost a friend, unfortunately, last week, and he's 52 years old.
Yeah.
And, he had a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, and I was talking to my mother because my mother's really close. So I'm like, Mom, I'm looking at the gym right now. I was literally, as I found the news out, and he's 52 at a rough time. I'm looking at the gym right now. There's Greg Smiley, 50. There's James Myers, 55. There's Pat Bader, 57. There's all these 50-plus guys that are like 5, 6 years older than this guy that just passed away, 52. Yeah. And I'm just like, I've seen the fittest guys in my gym right now in their 50s, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. You gotta take care of yourself.
One of my buddies just a second ago, we just did a workout. He just did some blood work, and he's like, "Man, I haven't been working out. I feel like I'm out of shape." We did a workout together, and he's a pretty good CrossFitter. But he goes, "Man, I got my blood work back. It's amazing." He's like, "Man, I thought I was out of shape." I was like, what's funny though, is you feeling out of shape and doing CrossFit still puts you in the top 1% of society.
Yes,
dude. Seriously.
And, for you, what is your training like too right now? How often? I know Mike does. I know you program with Mike. I know you program with your brother. What's your schedule like with workouts and eating regimen right now? Like, how much are you working out? What are you doing in your workouts?
Well, I mean, Mike knows. I just stick to the program. Yeah. Pretty much to a T. I stick to the program. I'll come in the morning, and I'll actually start work in the studio, and I'll work for a couple hours, and then I'm down in the gym, and then I'll work out, and I'll do a piece of the program, maybe 2 pieces of the program. Then I go back to work, and I'll do more work in the studio, write a song or 2. Then I'm back down, and I'll do the next piece and the other piece, and awesome. maybe finish it off, and then I'm back in the studio again.
Yeah, and you have your music studio in the gym.
Yes.
So now, so since I moved up to SLO, to San Luis Obispo, right. My recording studio is in fact at CrossFit Inferno. So I I got the best of both worlds. I kind of lucked out that way.
I know Bill will walk in, I got to do a workout, and you'll be like, "Hey, yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, exactly, man. I'm in it now. Jeez,
one of the two is
funny.
And here's the cool thing about what you're doing, and Mike and I have spoken about this, and I think the reason why we're all pretty close.
The Grundler brothers, Tromello brothers are pretty close.
Is you guys have created yourself through I know Bill was a firefighter at one point, left his job, but you created a business for yourself, right, where you could have freedom, where you could stay healthy, and you it seems like you've combined the two. And you're like, shoot, I might as well just have run my business and also be able to do this in the gym. Like so many people, right? On a bigger scale, they're like, man, how do I get like James, or how do I get like Mike and Daniel, or wherever I want that life. I want to have freedom. What would you say to them? Like, how do you do those things?
Well, are you asking the question like, how do you balance fitness and work, or are you just saying freedom to be your own boss, or what's the question?
I'm hearing more freedom to be your own boss, to just
like, what were the steps you think that you took to say what, or is it, a lot of people, you've probably done this, almost in a way where it's just natural for you now to do what you're doing. But at the time,
well, it's
just effort to say,
I can address that. It wasn't an instant. It was when the band thing stopped and all the touring stopped, and I didn't know what I was going to do. My situation of writing music for TV and film actually happened out of a movie director needed a song, and a friend of mine was the music supervisor on the film, and he knew me from my days of being in Palo Alto, and asked me if I wanted to write a song specifically for this film, and I did, and the director loved it, and it was for this film, Henry Pull Is Here, and that was actually my first film and first job doing it that way, and that was probably 10 years ago, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit more, maybe 10 years ago. I can't really remember. It was a while ago. Uh, and it was this director, Mark Pellington, and he's the guy that directed the Pearl Jam Jeremy video
Oh wow.
back in the day, and it was a success. The song was, and I got paid to do it, and I just was
Right.
like, this is what I'm gonna pursue this. Well, it didn't. After that, it was kind of a lucky break, but it took me a while to build up my catalog of music for TV and film, and actually to break through all the different music supervisors. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It didn't just happen overnight, being your own boss and doing it that way. But again, you have to take a chance and roll the dice. If you feel that you have something to offer, you feel that you can manage the situation, because there's going to be really tough times doing it, because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
There's a lot
I
of
say go for it.
there's a lot of doing things for free. Like there's a lot
There
of
is, yeah.
yeah. I mean, and people, but it gets your name out there, right? To like say, hey, this guy's a good coach, or this guy's a great musician, and you should work with him. And that's one thing I've dealt with too, like with leaving my job in the last, so I'm going on almost a year and a half now. And it's funny how like one thing leads to another thing, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I got this opportunity and I got that opportunity. All of a sudden that kind of moves into a giant circle of like, I have a career now doing these different things, dabbling in the music industry, like being a musician that can do so many different things. And for me, it's like I'm a coach, but I can coach and do so many different things in the fitness industry.
Yeah, you have to think beyond the box. You have to think,
Yes. Yes.
you can't just like, well, I'm a coach, or I'm a box owner. You have to
Yeah.
think beyond that. Like, okay, what other things can I do? Well, I can do seminars, I can do, other coaching outside of that, remote coaching. You can do all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff.
All kinds of
You
stuff.
could develop a new piece of fitness equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really the world's your oyster in that regard. I mean, you just have to be very creative in the
Yeah.
way you approach it.
Yeah.
Let me
I
ask you.
think that's the same way. I think that's the same way with real estate. I think it's the same way with, any job you want to do. You have to, especially this day and age, you have to think beyond just the immediate.
Yeah, I agree. You have to think beyond the immediate. So many people get
Yeah.
stuck into the genre that this is right now, and
Yeah.
it's going back to the open. This is right now. 18.1. I have to obsess over this workout, do it 2 or 3 times, and obsess over the next one that's coming
Oh
up.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that. It should be on and off. Okay, on.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, again, it all depends on what you want to do. Are you doing this for your own, for progress, just to see how your fitness progress is going? Are you doing it to qualify as an individual athlete? Are you doing it to qualify a team? I mean, there's so many different levels of, what you have to take in to evaluate how you want to approach your open.
Yeah,
And
and
I think I think I think at the end of the day, it does go back to stress levels,
yeah,
especially with the open. You don't want to go in to the open with a big old can of stress sitting around, and you got all this cortisol levels going. Your body's not going to work. It's not going to work properly. And I think finding distractions is a great tool to prepare yourself for whatever workout comes your way. Because at the end of the day, you're just working out. You're just doing what you always do. You're just working out.
A question too regarding the open and your career too is what are your skills to compartmentalize like that? Because it takes a certain level of like to write a song. I mean, look, I'm relatively creative, but that takes a lot of focus. I mean, I'm assuming that takes a lot of focus to be present in your workout. 5 minutes later, right? All of a sudden you're on. How do you compartmentalize and say, okay, this is my workout. This is the open. This is what I'm gonna do today. I'm writing a song right now. Like, how do you stay as present and focused as you are when you're doing those things? Like, how do you block out the other stuff, right? Like, what are skills?
I think I'm actually pretty fortunate with what I do that allows me to, if I'm because work is priority number one for me.
Yeah.
It allows me to focus like laser focus, obsess over a song, and if a song's going great, it really kind of boosts my confidence level, and then all of a sudden I go downstairs and I'm doing the workout, but I'm thinking about the song in the back of my mind. But I'm doing the workout, but the song's right there.
Hmm.
You know, and so all of a sudden I'm feeling good about the song, and it translates into feeling good about the workout. In a weird abstract sort of way, you know. I mean, it just happens that way, and I think that's just me personally. I don't know if that's everybody.
What happens
if it works that way, but like I said, that's why I always say I think it's good to have you gotta have a solid distraction.
What happens when the song's not going well? So you're writing.
Well, then I'll still obsess about the song. And again, it keeps me out of the frantic mode of the workout. I don't have to it's still me concentrating on my career, you know, and so when I go to work out, that actually helps me, you know, release a lot of that tension. It helps me, it just helps me refocus for the song again. I think that's the other thing that people need to go back to. Why are you doing this fitness in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, you're doing fitness because you want to feel good, and it helps alleviate the toxins. It helps, you know, settle down your tension in your body. It lowers your stress levels. I mean, it does all that, and it you know, sets yourself up for success, I think, in your job.
Yeah, I find too many athletes that are doing CrossFit at the higher level, especially even the ones I see, they're obsessing over to the point where they're like, oh, the Open's coming, and oh my God, I have to now, this is going to kill me. Like, they're stressing out over their fitness. And it's like, if you don't understand, you will be so much better if you don't stress out about it. You'll perform better.
Yeah, you will perform better.
And so it's definitely been an interesting year for me. I'm already sensing our athletes at Precision, they're starting to get really, really nervous. You know, and I'm trying to.
But that happens every year, Mike.
Every year.
It's really funny though, because you remember what it was like when you were in that uber competitive mode.
Yeah.
You know, both of you guys remember what it was like, but I think
I didn't enjoy it.
No.
I didn't enjoy it.
At the same time,
Very
I think
stressful.
Daniel and I are as good as we ever were at CrossFit right now. And although we know where everyone's gotten better around us, I know I'm better than I've been at CrossFit in a long time.
Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, like, I want to do well in the Open. I want to help my team qualify.
Of course.
Last year, I gave them match score, you know, in the workout on 0.3.
Yeah.
You know, I gave them something. Like, I want to be good, but I'm not going to dwell over it for myself physically. Now, as a coach,
different expectations.
I might be dwelled. I might look at the leaderboard a little too much. So that's my job, to look at the math and do the math and say, hey guys, we need this amount of reps to get us to this placing, which is what we need to be in the WOD 1, WOD 2, etc. That gets stressful. But
I think it goes back. I don't know if we had this discussion before. We talked about, like, what is the percentage of CrossFit athletes that actually find financial success through CrossFit?
None of them do.
I mean, the percentage of that is what?
Top 1%.
I couldn't get the percentage; it's so low.
The
but
top
I'll give you
1%.
a number of like 10.
Yeah, it's so small that I think it would behoove you. I mean, yes, you got to have your CrossFit goals, but it's the smart thing to do is to really, you got to find something that is not CrossFit. You got to find something that is going to be, you know, successful financially, successful hobby, successful spiritually, whatever, that is going to, you know, kind of, because CrossFit isn't going, the competition of CrossFit and making money at CrossFit is a very small window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I think if you already can kind of understand that, I think it'll put yourself at ease. You know, it's good to have your dreams and goals, and I'm all about that, but it's also about being realistic too.
Well, you know what I'm seeing with the younger athletes, and this is why I like masters athletes a lot more, is I'm seeing with the younger athletes that they're more worried about the status. They're worried about.
Well, yeah, that's it. Now that's it. But now you're opening a whole nother can of worms because
Right?
it is all about status with the younger generation, especially outside of CrossFit. You look at Instagram, that's all it is: instant fame, instant famous.
Yeah. Like, what are my followers going to think if I don't qualify? What are my followers going to think if I don't make it to regionals via the team? What are, and et cetera. Like, I'm seeing it from all different avenues, but I'm seeing them like, I have to post about this, I have to post about that. It's for some of these athletes that are really good, it's becoming more about, I don't know if some of them are doing CrossFit anymore because they love it. I feel like a lot of them are doing CrossFit now because they have to do it, because they have to stay relevant via social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Like, just back to when you're competing in the open or competing and you really focus on yourself and you're doing your best. Do you ever have doubts that your best isn't good enough when you're competing?
Yes, he does.
I think that's natural. Like that. I mean, I think the greatest athletes in the world, doubt themselves. I mean, you see like Lindsey Vonn at the Olympics, it was her first time back, in 8 years, and she had a nasty accident and stuff, but she's still the best of the best of the best. She's probably one of the greatest athletes of all time, most decorated. But you could see there's still doubts in there. People have their doubts, you can't, Tom Brady is having his doubts.
For you personally, what do you do to overcome those doubts? Like,
I'm fortunate enough to have a great support system around me too. So if I have doubts and I need to talk to people or whatever, the availability is there. And
James, I've had multiple conversations.
I don't think I'm a head case about it, mind you. I mean, I'm a bit of a head case. I mean, shit. But
no, you're not. I honestly
maybe less than others, maybe more. Who knows? But
level, I think it's normal though. I think
but it's weird though. From me, it's like maybe people can relate to this, but I'm more of a perfectionist, whereas I want the best, so I obsess about having the best.
You want the best.
I want the best possible workout. I want, because I see myself as somebody who moves better than most in my age division, and I like to, and I want to be the best. So I think it's very natural to kind of have those doubts.
About you want to win every workout. How do I
win every workout? Yeah, I want to win every workout. I don't see why I shouldn't win every workout.
But James, I just need fit. I need top 5. I don't need a first. I just need we have 8 more workouts. I need this. I'm more strategic with you. I'm like, hey, this isn't going to be a first place workout. If you get better than 5th, then we've done a great job. I'm thinking math at the end of the day. You're thinking, I want to win. And then the only time
because you're thinking of, I think what happens with a lot of people, they get so, goes back to what you're talking about, being somebody. I think people, they don't want to be viewed as a certain way if they do that on a workout. I mean, it's all this it's silly.
But then you hurt yourself, right? And we've hurt ourselves twice at the games. Unfortunately, we've had injuries. But actually, that's where we've actually taken last place finishes to take first place finishes. We did that last year.
We had to just swallow our pride and go for the last.
If people knew that half of the CrossFit Games last year, you had one arm.
Yeah, you're messed up, man.
And that we were actually piecing you together before every workout with Wade and other therapists in the therapy room.
Yes, big shout out to Wade and the AK guy from Australia. Thank you so much. I forget what his name is, but geez.
If it wasn't for those guys and mentally staying with you and saying, hey, we're going to take this sacrifice here, blah, 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 you were still 7th in the world. With one arm. People have no idea how you could not use that.
Right.
I'll ask you too, James. Why are you doing this at this level, at this intensity? What's driving you? Is it that you? I mean, is it? I want to be somebody. I want to win this. I want to win this damn thing.
Well, I'm already somebody, so I don't really worry about that too much. But
I agree.
No,
Okay.
I did. I want to win. I mean, I got into this thing, and I remember 4 years ago, when I did my first Open, and I asked Bill. I said, "Hey, man, do you think I could have a shot going to the Masters?" And I was like, I want to compete I want to go to the games. I want to have fun and go to the games. I want to say I've done it. I want to say I've done that. And then once I did it, I got in there and I did it. I've gone 3 times. I want to win it now.
Yeah.
I know what it takes to win it, and I want to win it. I'd like to win it.
The same question I asked Becca Voigt last year in our interview, and then we're gonna sign off.
Cool.
Do you see an end game? Is this something that you're gonna do as long as you can, competing at the highest level as long as you can?
Well, shit, dude. I mean, listen. The Masters, what's great about the Masters is see, you can do this till you're 70-something years old.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like I have a long, everybody's got a long journey ahead of them if they want to do this competitively. I mean, so it's just a matter of time. If you really it's a matter of, do I have the time to do it, and am I capable of doing it physically? That's it.
Yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of what Becca said.
Is that what it is for you? So as long as you're capable?
If I'm capable of doing it, fuck yeah, man. I'm going to jump right in and throw down. Why not?
Becca had a very similar answer. She's like, I'm gonna do it as long as I can until I if I can't, because it's fun. It's part of what you do. It keeps you motivated to stay fit, etc.
If you were competing in CrossFit, what would you be doing right now as far as, let's say CrossFit didn't exist?
Pro basketball.
If CrossFit didn't exist, because I think about all the time what the hell I'd be doing.
I think James would be on a men's swim team.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know if I've even thought about that question. I know that I would probably be turning out way more music than I'm putting out right now.
Probably.
I probably have a library of 100,000 songs rather than 10,000 to 20,000 songs. I mean, who knows?
I think naturally, the point I'm trying to get is you're so competitive. You seem like you're incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of outshine a little bit. Yeah. Kind of competing, but I know how freaking competitive you are. Like you're fierce competitor.
He's very.
You want to win everything, right?
He does.
I think that's why. So,
that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
So your outlet would have to be something like you. All right, I'd write 1,000. But how about athletically? Let's say CrossFit didn't exist. You're doing your music the way you're doing. What would you be doing athletically, or I mean, would you be competing in anything else? Like, is any other?
God, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how to answer that question because everything that I do, I still put that. I mean, shit, dude. I've been competing at a high level since I was 5, so it's like that's all I know how to do. So if I'm doing music, I'm still being competitive with my music. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
they gave that job to that dude. Ah.
Right.
You're totally competing. I know you'd be competing. I love that. All right, so I'm gonna sign us off, James. It was awesome. It was a great podcast.
Speed skating. Let's decide that. I'd be speed skating.
You do got quads.
You got the quads for speed skating.
You kind of got that run too. Like you'd be perfect on skates because you kind of have that low profile.
I got the low pro, man. I got the short legs. So
I'm gonna sign us off, guys. It was an awesome podcast with James Grundler. Episode 3. Hope you guys like it. See you at the next one. We don't know who our guest is. It might just be Daniel and I. Who knows? It might be Hunter McIntyre. We've been trying to get him on. We'll figure it out, guys. Thank you.